I often go home to Newport Beach, California to visit my family. And one of our favorite things to do is a family harbor cruise. So come along with us as we show you my hometown from the water. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of Colorado Martini. The first thing we do is go down to Balboa Island and shove off on a Duffy boat. What is a Duffy boat, you might ask? Well, a Duffy is an electric boat that was invented in Newport Beach in 1970. Going on a Duffy is all about cruising slow, having drinks and hors d'oeuvres, and spending quality time with friends and family. Duffy boats are very easy to drive. It's just like driving a golf cart on the water. And they only go around 5 miles an hour, which is the speed limit in Newport Harbor.
When you're on the island, you can actually rent boats. We call these Duffies, these type of boats, and they're a lot of fun. You can bring food on and drinks, even though you're not supposed to be drinking cocktails on a boat. But the minute you get off the ferry, you'll see them to your right.
Newport Beach's most famous landmark is the historic Balboa Pavilion. The building is one of California's last surviving examples of the great waterfront recreational pavilion from the early 1900s. It was built over 100 years ago in 1906 by the Newport Bay Investment Company. It played a prominent role in the development of Newport Beach as a seaside recreational area. It is now a restaurant and bar.
So, see the sign here? This is right next to the ferry on Balboa Peninsula. That has been here forever and ever. I'm sure they've redone it, but as long as I can remember, the sign's been there.
The Balboa Island Ferry is the longest operating and only auto ferry in Southern California. It has been running since 1919 between Balboa Island and Balboa Peninsula. Its official name is the Balboa Island Ferry, but us locals, it's just the ferry. You can take the ferry whether you are in a vehicle, on a bicycle, or just walking on. The crossing is approximately 800 feet and is usually just under $2 one way. Newport Harbor is just over 3 miles long and is one of the largest small craft harbors in the United States, along with the largest recreational harbor on the West Coast and the only harbor in Orange County, California. The harbor consists of 7 residential islands and almost 9,000 privately owned yachts and sailboats.
So the biggest boats are usually parked in front of the Bay Club because it's got the deepest water and the biggest docks. And we're looking at this black sailboat here. Is absolutely huge. I mean, look at the mass on that. All black yacht every day. It's like the Batmobile. That's like, it's weird. It's almost stealthy. So just to show you how much bigger boats have gotten, the one with this wood stern right here, that is the Wild Goose, and that was John Wayne's boat. But the boats have gotten so much bigger now. When I was a kid, that was considered an absolutely huge boat. And I remember Barbara Walters interviewing him on this boat, and now it was so big back then that you had to dock it in the turning basin.
The Wild Goose is 136 feet and was constructed and launched in 1942. She was originally the USS YMS 328 and is a decommissioned U.S. Navy YMS-1 class yard minesweeper. One of her sister ships is famous also. You know it as Jacques Cousteau's RV Calypso. Many of us older folks remember the Calypso in all of Jacques Cousteau's documentaries. After a couple of other owners, John Wayne purchased her in 1962. He kept the ship for the last 17 years of his life. He entertained many on his yacht, such as Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan. The Wild Goose was a movie star too. She was featured in the 1968 film that starred Groucho Marx, and in 1967, the film The President's Analyst, doubling as a Canadian spy ship. The Old Girl is still in operation for dinner cruises. Reservations can be made through Hornblower Cruises. The Wild Goose is listed on the U.S. National Register of Historic Places. When I was young, I used to see John Wayne take it out all the time. Back in my day, she was a shining star of Newport Harbor.
So here in the back bay, this is the Hyatt right here in the dunes, and you can put your boat in the water here, and we're going to be having lunch at the Back Bay Bistro. So it's a nice little thing with a beautiful view. So John Wayne's house used to be right here, but they knocked it down and built new houses. And not the White House, but the house next to it is Nicolas Cage's house. So when I was a kid, Jane Fonda used to live on the top floor here at the Bay Club, and several other movie stars. Lido Island. The harbor is full of all sorts of islands, and some of them you can't even get cars on. But this one's Lido. It's probably the biggest one.
We didn't have any of the cool and stuff at that time. They got a thing with parking.
So right here is where I learned to sail growing up. Those Lido boats right there, the ones with the L on them, those are probably very similar to where I learned to sail in.
Multiple buildings? Yeah.
The whole area is actually owned by Orange Coast College, which is a local community college. And then the Sea Scouts used to be here too, and they had like a pirate ship always docked right there. So one of my favorite things to do is to go bar hopping on the boat, and we're going to Mama's. So let's go get some chowder in one of my favorite places, and that's Newport Landing, because it sits right on the harbor. So it's a perfect place to go have some chowder, some seafood, or have a drink up on their deck. So let's go take a look. So I'm having a nice Cosmo, of course. That's what I always have. And there's the fun zone. This is Newport Landing, the view from Newport Landing.
During the holidays, the city puts on one of the best boat parades you will ever see. The Holiday Boat Parade is the longest running and largest Christmas boat parade in the United States. It is free to all. All you must do is find a spot on the harbor shores and enjoy the brightly lit boats go by. Then there's the beer can races. Beer can races are casual boat races held in the summer at local yacht clubs in the harbor. They typically offer races on short courses. They are basically social events that are part of the sailing tradition. In my day, it was an excuse to go out on the water during an early Thursday summer evening, have some fun, drink some adult beverages, with a little competition included. And half the time, we didn't even know who won. Legend has it that the popular beer can races are named for the bobbing cans of beer that used to mark the race course years ago. But in my day, we used empty kegs.
That's the peninsula on the right, right?
Yeah, the ocean's right there.
Right, I can see the ocean over there. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. That's the only way I guessed it was the peninsula.
So what is this building now?
It's like a park. It's like
They do have a restaurant.
rec
Is that
center.
the City Interpretive Center? Exactly. The seal's the hippie of the SeaWorld because they lay around all day,
Where?
eat sushi at night, crash at other people's places.
The entrance to Newport Harbor is called the jetty to locals. The construction of a network of jetties began in the 1920s. The jetties keep the waves out of the harbor and preserve the sand on the beach. It is tradition in my family to take the boat out to what we call the buoy, which is our way of saying we are going out to the first ocean buoy just outside the jetty. A place that we know is always filled with sea lions fighting over space to crash. One of my favorite tales growing up was about the Gillette houses at the jetty. The houses are the last homes at the end of the peninsula. The homes were originally built in 1927 by King Gillette of Gillette Razors. The local legend is King Gillette died, leaving the house to his two sons. The sons feuded over the house and cut the house down the middle to make two separate houses. The son, who owned the house closest to the jetty, extended the front of the house several feet just to block the view of the other son's house. It's a fun story, and I totally believed it growing up. But in fact, it wasn't the brothers who divided the mansion, but the owner who bought the house from the Gillette family. Oh well, it was fun thinking the legend was true all these years. When near the mouth of the harbor, you will see two big blue structures on the shore and on the bluff above. This is what locals call the Irvine House. This was part of the 93,000-acre Irvine Ranch that was located in the heart of Orange County. It stretched 9 miles along the Pacific Ocean, 22 miles inland, and encompassed more than 1/5 of Orange County's total 798 square miles. In the 1860s, James Irvine and his partner purchased the ranch at an average of 25 cents an acre. But local legend was that Irvine won the land in a poker game from an agent who was responsible for land grants. And his winnings were all the land he could ride from sunup to sundown. But of course, that's not true. The Irvine Ranch boundaries are now the city of Irvine, part of Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Tustin, Orange, Anaheim, unincorporated county land, and some portions of Santa Ana and Costa Mesa. So as you can imagine, it was a huge ranch. So as you can see, Newport Harbor is absolutely gorgeous. If you ever find yourself in Southern California, make sure to take a Newport Beach Harbor cruise. You will find that there are many to choose from, and you will not be disappointed. Make sure you catch all our videos on the great state of California.